Joining me now is Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Congresswoman.
Oh, thanks for having me, Lawrence.
I first of all want to go to the result in Mississippi and the reproductive rights of women, this very clear attempt to present a direct attack on Roe versus Wade being soundly defeated in Mississippi. Was that something you expected tonight?
Well, in Mississippi, the success tonight for people who care about preserving women's access to health care, that was an incredible victory. To have that victory in Mississippi sends a strong message across this country that women in this country want to make sure that they get to decide about how much access to health care they have. They want to be able to make sure that they can have the right to reproductive choice, that they don't want the government telling them that they can't get access to infertility treatments, that they might be allowed to die in a hospital even if they have an ectopic pregnancy. That's how far and extreme the personhood initiative is. And for it to be rejected in a conservative state like Mississippi sends a very clear signal to proponents of the personhood initiatives all across this country that they need to stay out of the personal lives of women and make sure that women can continue to make their own health care decisions.
It seems like a wake-up call for Republicans, in particular like Haley Barbour, who was briefly undecided about this and then ended up voting for it. You had the feeling that he just, had his finger in the wind and was voting where he thought he had to. But here are voters saying to Republicans on this extremist kind of stuff, you've gone way too far.
Well, when even the outgoing governor of Mississippi says that the personhood amendment gave him pause because of its far-reaching effect and his concern that it perhaps went much further than he was even comfortable with, that tells you that if a conservative Republican was given pause, that this is a totally out-of-step, extreme measure that goes much further into the personal lives of women in this country than anyone is comfortable with. It's clear that voters across this country, whether it's in a conservative state like Mississippi or in more progressive states, they want to make sure that the government stays out of their personal life.
Let's go to the crucial state of Ohio. This is going to be the crucial state in the presidential election next year. They went in two different directions on the big issues on the ballot there, voting pro-union, in effect, pro-union rights with one stroke, and then voting against a key element of the Democrats and President Obama's health care reform on another vote against having an individual mandate in Ohio. How do you interpret those results?
Well, the passage of the repeal law, repealing SB 5 in Ohio today was a tremendous victory for middle class and working families, who overwhelmingly sent a message to the Governor John Kasich that he massively overreached, that it was absolutely inappropriate, and they rejected his attempt to go after public employees, to go after working men and women who simply want to be able to negotiate for better wages, make sure that they can negotiate for health care coverage that is the kind and quality that every working family deserves. And the clear, overwhelming rejection of Governor Kasich's overreach tonight sends a message to all extreme Republicans, particularly Tea Party Republicans, who have championed the absolute decimation of workers' rights across this country, whether it's Wisconsin or Ohio or other states. That this is where it has to stop, and now we need to focus on creating jobs and getting this economy turned around. We've got to focus on moving the economy forward and working together. I hope Republicans and their extremist Tea Party friends get the message tonight from these results, because they've been overwhelming all across the country.
Didn't those same Ohio voters deliver statistically as big a rebuke to the idea of an individual mandate in health care, which is in the president's bill that has been signed into law, that he signed into law, the Democrats' bill that you passed in Congress? And by the way, it was a mandate that President Obama, when he was a candidate, campaigned against in the Democratic primary. He was not in favor of that then.
Lawrence, I think the more important news tonight on the Affordable Care Act is that the D.C. Court of Appeals, written by a very conservative judge, overwhelmingly upheld as constitutional the Affordable Care Act. And the D.C. Court of Appeals is a significant court, one of the most significant courts in the country. And to have the conservative judge write the majority opinion upholding that law as constitutional, that sends a clear message as to the likelihood of success when that legislation gets to the Supreme Court and they answer the question of whether a mandate is constitutional overall.
And notwithstanding this vote tonight, if the Supreme Court rules the individual mandate to be constitutional and appropriate in law, that will override whatever was voted on tonight in Ohio.
Exactly. I mean, if federal law will, if it establishes that at the end of the day the Supreme Court says that the Affordable Care Act is constitutional, then that will apply in every state in the country. Congresswoman
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, chair of the DNC, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me, Lawrence.
A reminder, tomorrow we will have